Well, hello and welcome to an unedited meeting. This is we're trying a new thing. We're
just gonna see how it goes.
So you've got a phone in your face. I've got a phone in my face.
Yeah.
And then we found this cute little backdrop for this video that we already chose, so I know that there's a cute backdrop.
It's cute.
Yeah, on over.
Yeah.
That was fun. And then we are sharing our screen and we are looking at Notion.
Yeah.
And we are going to talk about
quarterly planning.
Quarterly planning, 90-day plan, whatever you want to talk about, however you want to say it. But this is kind of a new thing for us that we're trying to figure out. So we thought we would share it with you. We haven't done an unedited meeting on this channel on YouTube in a long time.
Yep.
But these are fun. It's just like the real behind the scenes of us, Jason Zook, Caroline Zook.
We already had like two pre-conversation and then we were like, we just need to hit record and have them on camera for you. Yeah. If you've seen unedited meetings before, you know that like this is the messy stuff where we like hash everything out.
Yeah.
There's a lot of planning involved.
We want you to feel like you're sitting in the room with us and like you're like, oh wow, they really are
duking it out.
They don't know what's going on.
Yeah.
Also, if you see us looking this way, we've got the big screen up on the wall that has Notion going.
Yeah, so I'm recording my laptop screen, but also we have a screen so that we both can see each other's screens at the same time. One of our best business investments, can I just say?
The big screen?
The big screen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know.
Okay.
I know.
So, we in the past have done, as you said, quarterly planning or like a 90-day plan. This is we usually do a big yearly plan at the end of every year for the next year. So we'll do one in probably December for 2021. First of all, laughable because 2020 we didn't see anything coming. So whatever we planned out in 2020, like actually we're pretty close. Like not too much stuff got disrupted, but anyway, that's a whole other conversation. Yeah. So typically what we do is we do that big year plan. And then in the past, every 90 days or so, roughly every quarter, we kind of check in, and that's usually when we plan for new projects. But in the past, it's been a lot more informal, I would say. And this year, we've gotten a lot better at systems and organization, and I am now a Notion convert and have organized my entire life in Notion, and I love it so much. And so now we're trying to take all of our more haphazard processes and put them in a well-documented place. So this is, we thought we'd share with you.
Yeah.
And it's obviously very new to us, subject to change. I want to give 2 shout outs before we get into it, because got to give credit where credit is due. We have a lovely Waymer named Marie Poulin, who is like a Notion expert. Yeah. If you have not checked out her YouTube channel, we'll, I'm sure, link to it. But she also has a great quarterly planning with Notion video that I stole some formatting things and like little ideas for our version. But definitely if you're new to Notion, she's a great place to start. And then as we go through this, you'll see some databases that link to other databases. And I built out my whole Notion based on August Bradley. I think it's his method. I don't know if he like borrows from other people, but when I got started with Notion, I found his videos, and it's like a deep dive. Like if you want to go super nerdy, that is where to go. And so I got to give a shout out to him as well, because he creates very well documented videos, as well as Marie.
Do you anyone else you want to shout out?
My mom, for just being a great support system. Raised me right.
Mariah Carey for all the hits.
All the hits. Always be my baby. You kidding me? You kidding me, Mariah? I think that's it for now.
Okay, good.
Just Marie, August, my mom, and Mariah.
Yeah.
Shout out to you guys.
Yeah.
So this is our page in Notion for the Q4 quarter. And just the overall view here, we first are going to start with a review of Q3 and kind of see like, what did we accomplish? What went well? What did we learn? What can we apply going forward? All of that good stuff. And then we move into planning for the final quarter of the year based on what we learned in Q3. And Jason and I we met at the end of last week to
No, we met 11 years ago.
10 and, that's not 11 yet. It's like 10 and 11.
I round up. 1 day over 10, 11 years.
That's cute. But we had a meeting at the end of last week, and we filled out a lot of this already. So lucky for you, you're not gonna have to see us stumble through a bunch of this.
Yeah.
The part that we needed to continue today is the content planning part. So I figured I would walk you through some of this, and then the unedited meeting part would be the content planning part.
And I wanted to give a little bit of a shameless promo to us.
Yeah.
Of course I want some lavender. Let's see if you are going to hit my laptop or my phone.
It's so heavy. No, I'll do it underhand.
I also have no idea how this audio is going to sound, so I hope it's not terrible. So
it's not going to be great.
We're going for minimal and simple first here. It's like an MVP that we're working through here.
Okay.
There we go. And we'll see how it goes. Anyway, what I wanted to do shameless promo was we are going to teach how we set up 90-day project planning in Wandering Aimfully Unlimited in January.
Correct.
So if people are interested, if you're watching this, this is going to be January 2021. I don't know, you may watch this in like 8 years, and then you'll be like, wait, which January? If you're interested, wanderingaimfully.com/join, you can learn more about our full program, just if you're interested. If you're not interested, don't worry. You can still get some value, hopefully.
And what he's talking about too is like, this is planning for the whole business. It's like the overview. Project planning is down here under projects and priorities. We have a bunch of individual projects, and so each one of those, so we've got the new UI for Teachery, we've got a Squarespace passive project, all these things. And so each one of these has its own plan within that project. So that's kind of what he's referring to there. It's a lot of planning, but you know what we have learned over the years? Planning.
More planning equals more
winning.
Okay.
I was going to say for every hour you spend planning, it saves you 10 hours of working. I don't know if that's true, but
that's a nice platitude.
Workshop it.
Yeah. All right, so let's do the review.
Okay. So for Q4, here under reviewing Q3, we just have like little toggles here for each kind of section. So first we start with evaluating the quarter, and this is sort of like a qualitative, just journaling type of view. So what went well, what didn't go well, and then lessons to carry forward. Also this section pulls in 2 databases. One, this is like an August Bradley thing, but an accomplishments database and a disappointments database. And I'm entering that on a weekly basis. So part of the hard thing about quarterly planning is like, especially in 2020, all this time goes by and you're like, wait, what did we make?
Yeah.
What did we do?
Yeah.
And so the great thing about Notion is I do a weekly check-in and planning. And so when I'm doing that, so it's like, just to give you an idea here, the week of August 16th to the 22nd, I'm checking in and doing all this stuff that week. And then I'm adding to the accomplishments and the disappointments database in that week. So, hey, August 16th is the week that I got our basic Notion set up and organized. That was a win. And so once that's entered, I don't have to go back and wonder what happened. So this is automatically pulled in this section. And then all we have to do is like fill this out based on what pops up here. So it's kind of like little cues to your brain to say like, oh, what did we do?
Yeah.
So a lot of what went well for us was just creating assets. So we had the new Way May I asset, the new roadmap. We got everything we had a very full plate for our fall launch, and we got it all done, and that felt like a really good accomplishment. Continuing anti-racism education and awareness, we kept that a priority. Stepping away from social a little bit and being able to have more space, so we wrote all that down. What didn't go well? Putting too much on our plate again.
Classic us.
Classic us. We had to learn. We probably could have scaled back by like 25% of what we did for the fall launch.
Oh, 50%. 50%.
You think we could have done half? Yeah.
Yeah.
We had too many ideas, and we fall very easily in love with our ideas.
It's the thing that we try and tell our members. It's the thing we talked about for years is like, you fall in this trap of 90% of your time goes to making things, then 10% of your time goes to promoting those things. And unfortunately, that's not a good recipe for getting customers to buy stuff from you, because they don't know about the 90% of time. They only see the 10%. And when you're exhausted and tired and you don't want to be doing things, then people are like, well, I think they did something, but like I didn't hear from them much, and I don't know, I'm not going to buy from them. So it's just a lesson to always try and be tweaking that. And so I'm hoping this 90-day planning, because we've been doing 90-day planning in some format for a long time, but having a better system for this really shows us, okay, how much can we fit on our plates? How much do we want to fit on our plates? And then also, like, let's just shrink our plates. Like,
shrink the plate.
Our plate was like a buffet table this past quarter.
I just want like a little frou-frou 5-star restaurant where you're like, that portion size?
That's it.
I want that.
That's it. That's all we do.
And then lessons to carry forward. We learned an important lesson too about checking in. We used to check in on our like projected revenue to our actual, we check in on our actual revenue every week when we do our budget planning, but really looking ahead and going, oh, where are we projected to be compared to where we projected out our entire year? And we learned an important lesson, which is we were kind of operating only on the 3-month view right now. So we were like, let's do this fall launch. Let's make sure we had a goal set for 30 new members. What we didn't do well is look ahead a couple of months beyond that and say, oh, we actually have a bunch of members whose payments are ending. That's going to drop our monthly recurring revenue quite a bit. We need to be planning more for that.
Right.
And so that was an important lesson for us to learn this quarter as well, is like, we need to be every single month looking at that number and those comparing the actuals to the projections and building out our plan in our business to buffer that in to make sure we have nice, sustainable, consistent income.
Yeah.
Another highlight for that I feel like is something that we have learned is when we learned that lesson, then we said, okay, now whose responsibility is it going to be? So it's going to fall on my plate, because so often if you're in a business that you have a partner or someone like that, you go, okay, we need to do X, Y, and Z better next time. But if nobody's saying, I'll take that, it kind of just can fall through the cracks. So it's my job now to, every month when I do the monthly review, because I'm like the Notion like person, I'm going to make sure to check in on our actuals, make sure everything's looking good, and that we have plans in place to not have these huge drops in revenue.
Yeah, and we've decided you're the process manager and I'm the
project manager. So it's a little bit different, but Jason's very good at project management and saying like, hey, you're spending too much time on that, you need to move on to that. He's like very good at that. And I'm more the process manager of like, let's keep track of that. Let's make sure nothing falls through the cracks, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I think that helps.
Yeah.
Okay.
When we know we're biting off more than we can chew, we need to actually make cuts, not just move ahead. So the thing that we did differently this time, because this shows you that we are getting better, is we were like, we had so many of the project planning meetings and we were like, this is too much. Yeah. And then you would say, this is too much. And then we would go, great, where can we fit it in?
Yeah.
So we had this like awareness that it was going to be too much. And then we just said, we're doing it anyway. Yeah. So the lesson to carry forward is like, when we say that out loud, we need to actually challenge ourselves to cut things.
Yeah.
So that's sort of the evaluating the quarter section. It's just sort of an overview of what went well, what didn't, what you could learn. From that, we also did a little completed project review. So any project that was completed in Q3, we just put a little summary here. So we kind of manage it in the individual project page, but here is just for a top level view of like, how did each project go? So we created our little WAIM AI coaching robot. And, you know, just in general, this just basically says that we're glad it was an exciting idea to do something different, but overall, we spent too much time creating it, not enough time promoting it, and we're not sure that the payoff was really worth it.
Yeah, if anything, that project for us, just to very quickly explain, it is 220 audio coaching messages that are really short. And the idea was just like, one of our coaching members, you know, we have a monthly session, but if they need some coaching and they don't want to go to Slack or they don't want to whatever, they can just go in and they can hear us talk just for 15 or 30 seconds to get motivated. We think it's a really fun idea. We've already gotten great feedback from our members, but the amount of time that it took us to make that, it doesn't really attract new members. It just helps our existing members. So what we're really trying to think about is, okay, how can we leverage the work that we did for 220 messages moving forward? And actually, it kind of helped us create a content calendar, if you will, without any calendaring, but just like a bunch of content. We can go, okay, well, we already have 10 tips on how to get motivated when you're feeling stressed out. Let's make a video about that.
Right.
And let's just literally take those that we already wrote down, we already did the hard work for, and now let's just make a fun video for that. So it's going to create some leverage for us, not necessarily as a product itself, but like the outcome of everything. So that's, I think, a big plus for it.
For sure. And not just the amount of time that it took for that project, but the timing. We kind of mixed it in with this other big thing we were creating, which is the Unboring Business Roadmap. And when you do that, it feels at the time like you're like creating all this new exciting stuff for people and like it's going to create this big splash, but what you're kind of doing is diluting the messaging across all of it. So if I could go back and tell our previous selves anything, I would say save this idea for a time when it can really shine by itself. And and then the Unboring Business Roadmap, we got great feedback on it. So glad we did that. I like at the end here, I just put, but do we wish we'd spent the 52 hours we spent on WAIM AI on this? Yes, I do.
We did. Yes, we did.
And also going back to our project planning that we're going to do inside of WAIM, but we go through our specific process of estimating the time for a project and recording the time for a project so you know exactly how long it took you. This is something that we have learned over the years is very important because you can get sucked into a project quite a bit. So that's how I know exactly how much time we spent building the WAIM AI is because we tracked it.
Yep.
Okay. completed project review, that's that. And then reviewing actuals compared to financial goals. So I have a feeling the spreadsheet's going to scare people, but that's okay. That is okay.
Now, is this going to keep recording even though you went to a different space? Or were you just recording
I've done
that
that
one
before.
thing? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, we'll see. If it doesn't, I'll put something funny up on screen.
I'm pretty
for a
sure.
while.
Yeah. This is our our revenue.
We can't dwell too long on this because it's going to scare the crap out of people.
It's our revenue spreadsheet. And the reason why it looks like this is because we now have a recurring revenue model, but we have plans where the money ends.
Yeah.
And so we needed a place to be able to see where the drop-offs in revenue would be. And we just went the old-fashioned way and just said, we're going to create a spreadsheet.
Yeah.
And then the reason you have these sections is like, we literally have, when we created the spreadsheet, we had MRR that was from like previous year's plans that were still paying out. And then just for you to follow it here, you can see like, okay, let's go to our bigger launch. So in April, we got...
Well, May was our bigger launch.
Okay, so in May, we got 3,600 new revenue. So 36 people on our 6-month coaching program. So their payments would last these 6 months. So through October of 2020. So you can see that would be $3,600 a month for 6 months. But then our WAIM Unlimited people was $3,300 of revenue a month for 10 months. And so we just needed a way to break all that out. So, and then all of these down here that have the border around them are estimates.
Yep.
They're projections basically. So we go back and then replace it with the actuals when that happens.
Yep.
And so the reason this is important is because it allows us to then project out. So then during this review, you would just compare that to last quarter. How did it compare to our projections? And where's our current MRR? 21,600, which is great. Especially because I wish I could go back and see where we started the year at, but it was not
I think we're like 13,000.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's a great improvement.
Yeah.
And then asking yourself, how does this compare to the projected MRR and what needs to evolve or be changed to adjust going forward?
Yeah.
So we already did that. And what we basically figured out was that we needed to be planning our launches based on these
revenue dips.
Which
is very different than like chip dips. Because those are delicious. Revenue dips are not delicious.
Revenue dips are not delicious. That is why, so you can't really tell, but like, let's say if I take, where's the January here? So let's take, if I take, that's going to be too hard.
Yeah.
Anyway, long story short.
Yeah, I mean, if you just look at the total bar across the top, that was showing us when we would have these drops. So, you know, we had a drop in January that dropped us down to like 13. So it's like, okay, well, how can we bridge that gap to get back up before we do a bigger launch in the spring, which we had always planned. But, you know, we're looking like we're going to get below profitability, you know, for a couple months. I mean, not profitability, but like all of our expenses get kind of wrapped together. So
for you, how you would apply this methodology is, for us, it all kind of starts with that goal number that we're trying to get to. So let's say for you, your goal number is $5,000 a month and you have your projections here. Let's say you take clients. And so you see like, oh, based on what I'm doing now, I'm probably going to get 2 clients every month. I feel like that is what is going to be, but I'm really trying to get to $5,000 a month. And let's say each client is $2,000. So let's say you're projected to get $4,000 a month, but you're like, I really want to hit that $5,000 a month. You're projecting out and you're saying, what is going to make up that gap? And now you could say, oh, I'm going to launch a mini workshop in January, and my goal is going to be $1,000 of revenue for that workshop in January.
Yeah.
And so that's where you can start to like plan some of that stuff out here, which is exactly what we did. So that's why we moved from review into planning. So review the financial goals for the upcoming quarter, and then what are the goals going to be? So we set our goal to be, based on that spreadsheet, I won't take you back there and scare you, but our goals are 20,200 in October, 16,100 in November, and 16,100 in December. Now, for example, we can see these numbers and that's quite a bit of a dip from the 20,000 in those last two. And we were like, okay, we could do a Black Friday deal. We could do all kinds of things to make that number up. But for us, that amount of money is enough for November and December. Sorry, I'm going to stress Jason out with my shifting.
Yeah, that's fine.
that's where you can look at that number and go, but you know what? I could make more money, but for us, we're all about asking ourselves how much is enough. And for us, like, that is plenty of money. And we are like, it's been a hard year. We don't want to stress ourselves out like up until the very end of the year here. We'd rather decompress, enjoy the holidays and all that. So some years we do Black Friday deals and some years we don't. And some years we feel like pushing it more and some years we don't.
Yeah, I think this year, like last year, we needed a Black Friday deal. Like we needed
the money.
We needed some money. And so we did a Black Friday deal and it bridged the gap and it was great. This year, we don't need the money. So if, you know, we feel like we're in a good enough position where, yeah, we're not profiting as much profit as we want, but we don't have to get into sales mode. We don't have to promote something. We don't have to do any of that. Not that there's anything wrong with that. It's just for us, we like to figure out and determine, you know, when we're in those modes.
Yep. So here you really want to write down, like, based on what I have planned, like, what are the goals for October, November, or you can do it the reverse. So maybe you haven't planned out what you're going to do yet, but you say like, here are my goals for October, November, and December, and then you reverse engineer what type of projects are going to get me there. So those were our numbers, and then what needs to happen to reach those financial goals. So in our case, that's what we were kind of doing with the spreadsheet, is like tweaking different launches and things. And so what we determined is, in order to get here, we need at least 20 sales by the end of this fall launch, which
we're on pace for.
We already actually have crossed that. But that was when we did this on Thursday, that was the goal. And then we need to get our funnel to the point where it's making 5 sales every month. And then with the hopes of getting that to 8 sales a month by February. So that's like behind the scenes sales. And then also we need to do a flash sale with 15 buyers in January. That's because we had a revenue dip. And so we have to come up with some unique way to bridge that gap. And so we already did a little bit of a brainstorm of what we can do, and that's how we came up with the flash sale idea. And then we need to plan for a bigger spring launch in March, and with the goal being 50 buyers for that.
Yep.
So you can see that's why we're planning out to March, because it's like we need to be thinking now, what do we need to be doing now in order to set ourselves up for success for a March launch of getting 50 buyers. It's probably going to look like a lot more content, which is why we'll get to that. But that's where this all stems from, is like setting that point and then reverse engineering it. And then we also have a check here for turning these into goal outcomes and projects. And so I'll show you that in a sec. So then moving on to planning, brainstorming new ideas. So usually in that financial goals section, you're going to have a lot of like stuff you're trying to figure out. So it's like you're brainstorming new projects, you're brainstorming, is it a launch? Is it this? Like, what am I doing to meet those financial goals? Here, this is where I just have a space for like a bunch of like a scratch pad just for ideas and stuff. Jason and I were debating whether to bring back the $600 plan for WAIM. So we have, back in spring, we had a plan that was a 6-month plan.
I was gonna say, you can probably just skip over all this because I think it's more fun to talk about the next project.
It is more fun, but I think this is really helpful because
just determining the...
Yeah, people always ask us like, well, how did you come up with like doing a 6-month plan versus a 20-month plan?
I just said, let's go for it.
Great. So in the spring launch of 2020, we did a 6-month unboring coaching plan, which was 6 months, $100 a month. So the total is $600. The thought with that is if someone can get in for those 6 months, they will, you know, experience the benefit of our coaching and they'll want to upgrade to our bigger plan, which is the total $2,000 lifetime WAIM unlimited plan, which that has proven to be true.
Yeah, like, 40% of the time.
40% of people upgrade to that bigger plan, which is a good upgrade. But we were thinking to ourselves, the downside of the 6-month plan is that you have that drop off.
The dip.
You got the dip.
You don't want.
And so you're kind of stuck in this wheel of you're having to launch every less than 6 months to prevent the dip from happening. And it just feels a little bit like you're on this never ending cycle. So we thought to ourselves, for this fall launch, let's take the 6-month plan off the table. It was also because we weren't sure if we were going to bring back the live coaching sessions, but that's besides the point. Let's experiment with only doing the WAIM Unlimited plan. And we had this meeting last week and you and I were both like, oh, like it feels like we're getting less sales in the spring launch. Do we think that that's because we took the 6-month option off the table? And I was like, I think, well, we both were wondering, do you think that we make more revenue in the long run with the 6-month plan because people eventually upgrade?
Convert, yeah. So we had to look into the
thought
data.
they were, and so we did the data, and as it turns out, that's not true.
Yeah.
Even though it feels like you get less sales in the short term with the WAIM Unlimited plan, you make more revenue in the long term, and you don't have the dip.
Yeah.
And so we were like, okay,
let's go with less dip. Let's go with more consistent revenue.
Yep.
And that's going to be our decision moving forward.
Yep.
So that's how we kind of solved that problem of figuring that out.
Yep. And then as a total side note, we have talked about a long time trying to have some sort of passive income business. Like we just want to experiment with it so that we can teach people inside of WAIM what works and what doesn't. Not just like theory, but like actually look, we built this business from scratch. And so we were brainstorming ideas of what we wanted that business to be, because we need to start planting the seeds of content now in order to be able to teach it a year from now.
Yep.
So that was also what's in here. So again, that's what you're doing. You're just like brainstorming ideas. What am I going to be working on? What's going to bring value to my business? All based on like my financial goals and what I want to do. And then values, goals, and outcomes. So this is again based on August Bradley's framework a little bit, but you have your values goals, which are kind of like your more nebulous things. And each one of these pertains to like a different aspect of my life. So for example, pillar. So like personal care, work productivity, community, health. So like all these different aspects of my life, I have kind of a bigger goal for each of those. And then you break those values goals into these outcomes. So what are these like measurable things? And so here under goal outcomes, you can see I have them all, and I combine my business and my personal here in Notion, which is why you see like them all mixed in. But you can't work on like all of these at one time, or you'll get overwhelmed. So then these are just basically whatever I've identified as like my top 3 values for this quarter. Like these are the 3 values goals that I want to focus on. These are the outcomes for all of those things. And so we'll just look at the ones that are the work productivity ones here, but you're breaking down your project goals into these like smaller pieces. So all the stuff that we wrote out here where we said what needs to happen, 20 sales by the end of the fall launch, 5 sales a month for the funnel. Now we have this in a goal outcome that I can be reminded of every single week. This is a goal that we have. So, and then we can say what the progress is there. Yeah. And then our goal with the passive income project and all that stuff, 30 new Aimers in the fall launch. We changed that to 20, but that's okay. Our previous self said 30. So that's where you want to break that down. And those things pop up in my weekly review, in our monthly review, so that we're always saying like, okay, what's the goal for this project and how are we doing? Mm-hmm. And it just keeps you on track. So you're like, the thing that I really like about this Notion thing is like, we're doing all of this brain work right now. At least the way that we used to do it, we would do it and put it in like a Google Doc. And then it would just like never cross your mind again until the end of the quarter, and you'd be like, how'd we do? Yeah. And it's like, the whole point of setting these, I feel like, is to be reminded of them all the time. And that's what I love about Notion. So they pop up in other places, so I'm constantly being reminded. Okay, moving on to projects and priorities. So that now we've set the goals. So like, what are the projects that need to happen in order to achieve those goals? And I kind of separate it into 3 categories, which is like things that we need to be creating for the most immediate future, like up now, things that we need to be creating for the version of our business 6 months from now, and things we need to be creating for the version of our business 1 year from now.
Which one of those do you like the best? Which us?
I like now us.
Oh, I like 6 months us.
Oh, they're gonna be great.
They're great.
So based on those financial goals and where we kind of set things, right now we want to be focusing on getting that funnel to 5 sales a month, planning for the January flash sale, and planning for the March launch. Those are like the things that we need to be really creating for the way that our business is set up now. Yeah. Which is primarily on WAIM. The way that we are shifting our business is we want Teachery, our software product, to be making a little bit more money, and we're working on this big UI refresh. So we really, for the version of ourselves 6 months down the road who gets to have a little bit more income coming in for Teachery, we need to be working on the UI now. Yep. So that's not going to pay dividends until 6 months from now, but that means that we need to still keep it as a project and a priority now. And then same, we want to offset some of our WAIM income with this passive income project, which probably, again, will not pay dividends until a year from now. So what needs to happen now? Yep. Well, we need to figure out what that offering is, and we need to start, we're also going to create a case study for our WAIM people. So we need to start documenting that now. And then we turn all of those things into individual projects. So here are all of our projects. So you can see we have a project for our newsletter. We have a project for the WAIM roadmap that we completed, a project for our podcast, a project for the WAIM funnel project, a project for the January flash sale, the March launch, like all these things so that you can manage them on a project by project basis.
And when you're setting up tasks and like doing other individual day or week or month meetings, you have things that get assigned to that project so you can kind of keep them all
dedicated
together.
Bucket for it to live. And then I also have like a little view that's only the ones that are sort of really top of mind right now.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's all of that work that we already did.
Oof.
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 And then now the part that we need to plan for is the content planning.
Yeah.
So what YouTube videos are we creating? What newsletter series are we doing? What podcast episodes are we recording?
Yeah, I do want to be mindful of the length of this video because I have no idea how much of people's attention we're going to grab. So we're 30 minutes. I don't know if you knew that.
Yeah, these unedited meetings are usually an hour long.
I know. So what I was going to say is, do we want to just figure out what content we're committing to?
Mm-hmm.
And then we can do the brainstorm and all that stuff at a separate time, but just decide like, what are we committing to? Why are we committing to that thing? What purpose does it serve? And then wrap this sucker up.
Or
Okay.
do we want to maybe have the brainstorm and we could split it up into 2 videos? Because the first half is really like our quarterly planning Notion, like how do we do quarterly planning in Notion?
Mm-hmm.
And then the second half is like coming up with our content plan for Q4.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think this is cool to see how it's organized and everything, but I do think the thing that people used to love about the unedited meetings is like they weren't so polished. It's like, how do we actually figure out all of these things?
Come up with all these things.
Yeah.
Well, why don't we end this video and then we can start a new recording. We're just inside baseball right now. And then we can record that as a separate video, and then these can go up like 1 week after another. So it's like, you get the second one, but you know, for those of you who watch this far, we're actually gonna record at the same time. We're just gonna chop it up into 2. How do you feel about that?
Great.
Okay, so let's go ahead and stop the recording of all the things. I'm gonna go ahead before you do that.
The last part.
Okay.
So after we would have done the content planning, I do like just a little summary, because it's like, this is all like very tactical and you're like, what did I even do? But just being able to summarize it in sort of a little paragraph form. So our project focus is going to be on planting seeds for the passive Squarespace project and coming up with a high value content calendar to lead up to the January flash sale and the March mega launch. We're calling it a mega launch because it's like our big launch. Yeah. We plan to start way earlier to plan for these things so that we're not in a crunch when it's time to actually run the promotions in January and March. We're also going to commit to getting the funnel back up and running and really maximize that. And as for life stuff, we're going to enjoy the holidays, stay safe, and work on healthy habits. Mostly me. Jason's very healthy.
Try my best.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, I hope you like this first part of this 90-day planning video here, and then we'll wrap this up. And then the next video that you see from us on YouTube will be the continuation as we go through the content brainstorm and plan.